Good afternoon, everybody. Thanks for joining us. My name is Keith Coney. We'll be getting started here in a few minutes, just as you're getting situated. Looks like we've got almost 100 participants with us so far this afternoon. I appreciate everybody making time in their day for us. We've got a couple people here to help give you some information. We'll get started here in a few minutes. As we said, we're getting started here in a couple of minutes. Appreciate everybody being here, and we hope to provide some good information for you this afternoon, take some questions, be able to get you some all the details that you need. I know you're interested in. So we'll be getting started here in a couple minutes. We are working on getting the chat pulled up here. We're using a Zoom feature that we don't use too often, so give us a minute to get that going. And we'll keep waiting for people to join in. We'll give it another minute or two. We do have plenty of participants keep rolling in. There's lots of interested people, which is great, especially in the middle of a day like today. So once those start to trickle down, we'll get started here. All right, we're going to go ahead and get started. As I said, my name is Keith Coney. I'm the Executive Director of Curriculum Instruction for Lakota Local Schools. and we are excited to have you here. I do have some other team members who are here. We are working on a little bit of a chat feature issue on the back end, so we'll be working on that, and we'll have people coming back to join in a second. Krista Heidenreich, who is going to serve as the director of the VLO. We're excited to have her on board. She has a long history of being a part of this district and is excited about this. So I'll let Krista introduce herself to everybody. If you want to go ahead and unmute, Krista.
Sure. Hello. Nice to virtually meet you all. I sent out my welcome bulletin, I believe it was last week. The days are all running together at this point, but gave you a little bit of background about myself. I have almost 22 years experience in education. However, my time in Lakota has been in building administration along with the director of digital and professional learning, which really led up to this point, which has been phenomenal. I have a lot of experience with the district's instructional technology and building capacity with our teachers to use that technology. And I also have the pleasure of, I've worked with the technology department and currently working with the curriculum department as well. So I feel like I have a lot of the great connections that I need to be able to make sure that this is definitely, it takes a team. So I feel like I have all the relationships that are necessary for this to launch and be as amazing as possible, which I think is going to be pretty incredible. So I'm excited. I hope you all are too. Feel free to reach out. You can, I'm receiving VLO emails as well, but people go over kind of how you can contact, but please, feedback's always welcome, and hopefully we'll get some of your questions answered tonight. And I would also love to take the Q&A opportunity to get some information on what else you'd like to know about. So thank you.
Great. Thanks, Krista. Also joining us is Andrew Wheatley, who is our secondary curriculum director, and his big charge this summer has been to lead the team building out the courses that our teachers will be teaching this fall in the VLO, and also using as a resource in our in-person school. So Andrew, you want to introduce yourself real quick?
Yeah, my name's Andrew Wheatley, and let's see, I taught here in Lakota for about 8 years, and then spent a few years in a few other districts doing various forms of curriculum and instruction work. And I've been with Lakota now for 3 years in this role as the director of secondary curriculum. So as Keith said, been spending my summer working with a group of passionate teachers, Lakota teachers, to develop the courses that our students will be using in the VLO. And I just want to also, I can't think of a better person than Krista to lead this. Just the work and experience that she talked about before. I'm really excited about what we have to be able to offer kids, and the leadership and the teachers and the curriculum that we have surrounding that.
Great. Thanks, Andrew. So as we get going here, just a few thank yous before we get going. Thank yous to the people on this team, and to the community who's supported this, to Mr. Miller, the Board of Education, the rest of our teams for supporting this vision as we go through it. One of the things as we've gone through this, we said we want to get closer and closer to getting you the information that you really need as parents, and this is a piece of that. And so we wanted to do grade band level meetings to address some of those questions that have popped up. We've heard a lot of those have come in through the VLO email that we've had, and we'll have answers to many of those. We might not have answers to all of them. Our goal is to get the, once we have the chat up and running for here, we'll be able to get that. We might also be able to gather those separately, but I think we've got a good idea of what those questions are. What we do is then we turn those questions into FAQs. You've seen those on our website, hopefully. So on the district website for the virtual learning option, there are, I don't know, probably 4 or 5 pages now of VLO specific FAQs. We update those regularly, and we'll take any information we gather from here and take that on. I also would want to say that we want to realize that really in the last 4 weeks, from the first time that we had one of these information sessions for all of our parents, this has gone from a few hundred kids interested in virtual learning to now we are over 3,500 students in the district. That is larger than many area school districts, and we are working to scale this out to meet the needs of our students. There really isn't a blueprint for this work. We are doing our best to provide an amazing experience for students, and that's really our goal. And we just ask that remember that we're all working on this together. This is a virtual learning option. It is not an actual virtual academy at this point. It's not replicating the actual school day. We'll get into what that school day looks like, but we just want to make sure that we're all on the same page. So some logistics for this meeting as we move forward. This is a Zoom webinar. You'll be muted during this meeting. We are working on getting that chat together. If we get to the point where we need some support on that chat, we might ask for people to email in questions, which is perfectly fine. We can handle those separately also. This is being recorded, and we will have it on the website up by tomorrow. There aren't any handouts or documents to be given out, so if there are notes to be taken, please go ahead and do that. Our goal is to present for 20 or 30 minutes and then leave some time for answering of Q&A at the end. I'm going to assume a little bit that you've watched some of the info sessions that are on the website, so we won't hit that kind of 30,000 foot level of all the information that we're sharing out, but there are plenty of those. So we have 2 previous information sessions that are saved on our website in case you need to check those out. Some vocabulary as we get into this. I will keep referring to this as the VLO, the virtual learning option. That's the name we've kind of landed on. We remember that it's a semester at least commitment for this, and it is really independent virtual learning for an extended period of time. It is not remote learning. It is not the same as what we experienced in the spring, and it's not the same as if for some reason later on this school year that we had to move to remote learning for all of our students in person, and that would be facilitated by their teachers across the whole district. This is really for people who have chosen this as their option. We also talked about things being synchronous or asynchronous. So synchronous learning is things that are real time happening right there. Looks more like classroom instruction with somebody currently in front of the students. Asynchronous is on demand as students need that. Might be in the evenings or might be all on one day and not on another. So out of time or in time is what we like to talk about. Our goal is to not give you a ton of, to get in the weeds with things. You'll have meet the teacher information that comes out in the next week. We want to give you enough information to make sure that you feel comfortable with your child being a part of this. We'll give you general information that is specific to this grade band. We will answer frequently asked questions. We will gather information that comes in. Anything that is not addressed can be emailed to VLO@lakotaonline.com. And I'm going to make sure that we have ways to be responsive about this. We'll be asking for feedback. Crystal, give me a little bit of a heads up if we need to just pivot a little bit and go to VLO being the source for the chat and where questions are dropped.
Yeah, the chat didn't show up, so I went in and changed settings and reset it, but it doesn't look like it's updating in the live version. So I think we're gonna have to do VLO.
Sure, we apologize for that. We've gotten pretty good at pivoting on things. We have people who are monitoring that, and Crystal will be doing that also. If you do have specific questions, please just email those to VLO@lakotaonline.com. We'll answer those real time as we're here. Crystal will be gathering those in the background, making sure that you get all the information that you need. We'll be as responsive as we can real time as we go through this process. So let's talk about some of your most pressing needs. We want to make sure that we are responsive to what you need as you come in here. We know that the nice thing is that many of us on this planning team have all been junior high school teachers or principals, some of us parents currently, and we know how challenging this is. And we know that doing virtual learning with junior high school students is a little bit unique. So let's talk about the current state of the junior high school in VLO. We currently have 262 seventh graders enrolled and 297 eighth graders enrolled. They are pretty proportionate to the building size, knowing that Liberty and Plains are a little bit bigger than Hopewell and Ridge is in the middle someplace. So the buildings are about proportionate to what that looks like. We are excited about that. We've actually gotten to a point where our size and scale is allowing us to offer experiences across the board. If you had attended an earlier info session, you might have heard that we weren't able to offer honors or advanced courses in secondary school, and we are now able to do that. That some of our electives wouldn't be able to be offered. Now we're able to offer more of those. So we're excited about that opportunity, and it really does start to look more like a real school. We have identified all of our teachers. We are working through that process with them. Again, this is a quick turnaround to make sure that we get this on board for the start of school. We have our first info session with them on Friday morning. So we'll be sharing with those. There's a ton of training and professional development opportunities like that that are available. And so we're starting that process with them. We have Canvas courses that have been developed for the curriculum. I know one of the questions I keep getting from parents is, so when do I get to look at what the kids are doing all the time? And to be perfectly honest with you, there is a bit of a process between us developing content and putting it online for kids to be able to have. We're just in the middle of that, so it's not easy for us to pull that out and show that to you in any sort of meaningful way right now. But it's all being built in Canvas, which is what our learning management system is, which is what our students are comfortable with, our teachers are comfortable with. It really is, and it's impressive. The other thing that I would say is sometimes people say, well, what are other school districts doing? And we are really unique in the experience that we have. Us and a couple of other districts in the region really are able to build out our own content. We've been working with Hilliard City Schools up in Columbus, sharing thoughts back and forth and course materials back and forth. Many places are buying some curriculum off the shelf for all of their students, not aligned necessarily to where they are, not developed by their teachers. If their students come back into the classroom, it's not really well aligned that way either. We're fortunate not to be in that spot. So we are building that out. A lot of it was already built with part of our plan. Our plan got accelerated a little bit coming into this year. Just important to know the teacher assignments. Let's talk about teacher assignments a bit. So teacher assignments may look a little bit different depending on the building, but that always is the case. So given the way that our course sizes are and the numbers that we have, your child might be in class with a teacher from another junior school to be able to create a full experience. The curriculum is the exact same. There would be students from your child's school that are in that group also. They might be combined with another group of students for a particular class, given the logistics of trying to put a schedule together. It would be the exact same as if they were in their home school anyway. Some of our teachers are full-time VLO, and some of our teachers, it might be a section within their class, their in-person schedule. So that's a little bit unique also, but it is the same courses that they would be offered, the same rigor, the same expectations, along the same pacing as all of our students who are in person will have. Question about student schedule. When do I see their schedules and when do I know their teachers? So we want to make sure that we get our schedules correct. Obviously, when you take that number of students out and you reschedule them and you have your other students who are left, it's going to be a little bit different puzzle to put together. And we're working on that. We want to make sure that that's complete. Typically, we would have schedules out by this Friday. Those will probably be out by Monday or Tuesday of next week. Give us plenty of lead time. Also push back that start date of school to make sure that we're ready to roll by the first day of school for our VLO students and our in-person students. So those schedules will come out next week. All of our teachers next week will also be recording their Meet the Teacher videos, a short 5-minute intro to who this person is, how their classroom is set up, what's it going to be like, and to know them a little bit. You're going to hear us talk a lot about building culture and community within a virtual school also, and that's hard to do, but we're going to be very intentional about that. A lot of our training that we've got for our teachers and information we found from other virtual teachers and other experiences is that part is really important. How we build in culture and build a community is critical to these students. So some other questions about Chromebooks. I know we're doing Chromebook pickups this week. This is happening for all of our 7th graders and our any new students. Our 8th graders from last year keep their Chromebooks from last year. If there are any physical device needs, I need a device, I'm not sure about that. If there's a family who has a need for high-speed internet access and needs some assistance with that, all those would run through the building just as they would if your student was in person. If there's any tech support needs, all of that goes through. If it's like, I can't log in, I'm having an issue, and honestly, we were very supportive of these last spring. We have a separate help desk set up for that. VLO Tech Help at lakotaonline.com manages all of those pieces. Krista is great to have a person leading us because she has been our point person on the tech team for the last several years. She's worked closely with the tech team in the pickup for Chromebooks and ideas. If there's anything that we need to have support on, she's a perfect person to be able to have lead that. Let's talk a little bit about what do I talk to the principal about? What do I talk to VLO about? So how does this work? So is my kid, are they on an island? Or are they totally separated out? Are they still connected to school? And this has been really important for us to think about, especially for middle school, junior high kids, is that connection with their friends is important. The connection with their school and their community is really important. I've talked to so many parents over the past several weeks that have said, like, I'm just struggling with this because they have a great friend network, or they can't be in school for health reasons, but I want to make sure they're still connected to that. So we know that. And one of the great things about the size and scale that we've got in the VLO now is that they are able to keep a connection to their school. So they are still enrolled in their school, and we have brought their schedule essentially over to the VLO. So their scheduling, how that works, still works through their counselor. Any Chromebook questions come up through their counselor. You'll get emails from Mr. Ruff or Mr. Bauman. You'll see connected to things that are happening at school. If there are activities or extracurriculars to be a part of, those are still open to our students who are in VLO. So that's really important for us to keep in mind. What happens in the VLO? So attendance runs through that. We'll talk a little bit more about attendance here in a second, but attendance runs through the VLO. Our teachers who are VLO teachers will be tracking that, we'll be monitoring that. If there's questions about that, we'll handle that way. Progress in that VLO class is handled through that VLO teacher. That wouldn't be a call to the principal at school. If my child now has an F in class and nobody contacted them about that, we will handle that. So we've got an administrator on board. We've got teachers, so that you contact the teacher first. If you're not happy with that, you bump that up the chain as you would typically. If there's any question about virtual learning, we're going to try and build this connection a lot with you. And so any connections, any questions that come in, how do I support my child? Are they are they online too much? Are they not giving the effort they should? I need to be out. My kid needs to be out for Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday this week. Is that okay? Or are those absent? How do I support that later on? We can help you work through all of that, because we know this is a little bit of uncharted waters for all of us. So that's sort of the separation between what do I contact my school for and what do I contact the VLO for. And I noticed there are a couple of raised hands. I will make sure that we get to those. We're going to try and manage some of those conversations as we go through this. Let me get through a few more of these frequently asked questions that have come up. We'll get into a little bit of what the day looks like, and then we'll come back to some of those questions. Some questions have come about attendance. So what does this look like? Is my kid online all day or not? Can it look a little bit different? Because we know we have a couple different camps of families also. We have families who have said, I want my child online at certain times during the day because I want to feel like school, and last spring felt too loosey-goosey for me. And we've had some families who said, I really like that environment of having flexibility for my child, and they want to be able to learn when they want to learn. Trying to manage both of those is going to be a little bit of our challenge. When we talk about attendance, that is important. It's critical for us to make sure that there are no loopholes for attendance. It looks different in a virtual environment. So in junior high, it's based on logging into Canvas. That's our learning management system. That's how we'll know if students are participating. Attendance is weekly for us, but it's tracked through the VLO administration. And what that'll basically look like is teachers will keep daily track of student attendance, and they'll let us know weekly if all of their students were online all week. If there are any questions, that teacher will address those as we go through that. It's not class by class. It's not, did I check into math class and check into science class and check into social studies class, third, fourth, and fifth bell. It doesn't look like that. And we also know that the flexibility that happens with virtual learning, you might have a day where your child is spending 2.5, 3 hours on a science project that's really big, and that might mean they don't get to math that day, and they'll spend more time on math the next day, and we understand that. And we'll learn as we go forward through this, throughout this whole process. Questions have asked about if my child's sick and not able to participate. I think that's one of the benefits of virtual learning. If you have a cold, you don't be around other kids, we get that. You can easily stay participating in your class as you're going through that. If your child is not going to be able to participate, we'll have an attendance line. You call and just say, my child is sick, they won't be able to attend. We have that tracked in our system for attendance purposes. The teacher also knows not to be worried if they are not participating in class that day. Other piece of attendance is the staggered start. Some people have asked about the staggered start. and I think the way it's been communicated differently is that students have to attend in person on those days. So our VLO students do not attend school in person at all. Any of the staggered start days is by them attending, they are logging in. And so students last name A through L are on Monday, Wednesday, M through Z are on Tuesday, Thursday of that first week of school. What that's going to look like, that is going to be like getting our virtual life together. We're going to spend time just getting kids comfortable and getting them to know their teacher, getting them to know each other, and what does this look like, and get your workspace organized. Krista did a fantastic job of putting together a little bit of a day in the life of and some advice for parents who are putting that together. We learned a little bit about that in the spring, but it was sort of on the fly. But if this is a long-term commitment for our students, we want to make sure that they've got a great learning space that's organized. They want to know how they're going to organize their work. We want to make sure that kids are as successful as possible and know what their expectations are. So that'll be a lot of that staggered start. You'll only have half of our students attending or logging in. We'll have Zoom sessions with all of them. We'll repeat those at different times. We'll make sure that everybody knows what that looks like, to build a little bit of a community, to check in and know, what happened over the summer from all of our students, whether they're in person or virtual, is important. So that's a piece of that. The last question I've gotten is about, big question we've gotten is about electives and band and choir. I know that those are challenges. So our electives, we'll talk about what electives we have to offer. Beginning band will happen. We're still working through the logistics of this. Honestly, that will not be part of the staggered start. And we need to get a little better guidance from what's happening in person for band and choir before we can make a decision on what that VLO portion of that looks like. In all honesty, we've gotten a lot of conflicting information from the state and the county and nationally about music education in schools. So it's taken us a while to kind of work our way through, but as we get there, we'll have more of that. Those are the courses, the 8th grade band and the choir courses that are offered in person won't be a part of the VLO. And I think as we work through the logistics of what the in-person looks like, we hope to be able to have some sort of option for them to continue as we move forward. So that's a big part of what we have. The questions that I've received as we've gone forward. We did want to spend some time, and I'm going to ask Andrew to jump in here in a second and talk about, so what does this look like? So I've never done real virtual school. I've jumped in sort of making sure that these people take care of my kids. What does this look like? So we know students are going to work independently with multiple check-ins throughout the week with their teachers. As for younger students, if you happen to have younger children also, for younger students, it's going to be much more real time as things happen, whole group, small group, those kind of things. We know that older students have a little bit more independence in their learning. Courses are designed by unit, not necessarily day and week. So those units might last a week or two. There's some flexibility within there, how you go about doing that. The units include digital textbooks and videos and activities and assignments and assessments, extension activities and practice activities. And then there's a ton of work that goes into that. I'd love to hear Mr. Wheatley talk about how these were designed. He is passionate about this. And I think it's interesting to hear the design that's gone into this to be able to support families at home, because I know like many parents, it's hard to all of a sudden take on the role of being an algebra teacher or a history teacher. That's not what many of us were trained to be able to do. So, Mr. Wheatley, can you give us a little bit of look into what this looks like?
Yeah, sure. Hopefully everybody can hear me all right. So one of the things that we wanted to make sure we did as we designed out the Lakota virtual option is that we wanted to listen to our families and our students and our teachers about really what are they looking for. And one of the things that we heard really loud and clear is that our families, our students really valued the Lakota experience. They liked what happened in the classroom. They liked their teachers. They liked the resources. They liked the instructional practices. And so in developing these courses ourselves, not only did we want to create consistency between the in-class, the in-person face-to-face experience in the VLO for many reasons, one being at some point people might want to transition back in. but also because people thought the instructional experience is a good one. So the best way to describe like what a period or a day or what this virtual experience looks like is just to think about what a typical classroom experience looks like and what students often experience in junior high. You know, imagine a social studies class or a science or a math class, and they come in and they have a warm-up or a bell ringer, a short activity in which they complete that helps them get started with what they're going to be learning about for that. So we have things like that in the virtual learning that mimic things like a warm-up or a bell ringer. Those are also activities for teachers to kind of like monitor where kids are at in their learning. And then typically what would happen in a class period is there would be you know, a lesson for that day that probably has some direct instruction from the teacher. Some cases, even in an in-person classroom, that direct instruction might not come from a teacher. It might come from reading something, or it might come from a short video that either they made or somebody else made. And so in the VLO, you're going to have that same type of thing. You're going to have some sort of direct instruction that is maybe the teacher pre-recorded it, or it could be a video from an expert or some sort of resource that provides that direct instruction learning. And then usually after that in a classroom, you have some sort of either individual or group activity in which the kids are taking the learning that they had and they're applying it. And then at the end of the class, sometimes there is either, you know, an activity that is an assessment or summarizes the learning to make sure that they've gotten what they need to. And so what our teachers did this summer is they took that type of model for lessons and class periods, and they wanted to make sure that it was done, or they wanted to make sure they could take that and put it into a virtual experience. And so that's really what our VLO classes look like. It's that really high quality instruction and resources and that our teachers have been doing specifically designed for the virtual environment. And so you're going to see a lot of the same resources that kids have done in the past, a lot of the same activities, a lot of the same reading, assessments, maybe slightly tweaked projects. Those types of things are actually going to be you know, what kids actually might be doing in the in-person classroom, you know, or what has been done historically by those teachers, just like I said, specifically designed for that online experience.
Awesome, thank you. If you have any questions about the design of these or the work that's gone into them, Andrew would love to set up a time to talk about that, because I think it really is, it's unique to us, and I'm excited for us to be able to have that. I'm excited for our teachers to be a part of that also. As we go through, just a reminder, we've gotten some emails that have come into the VLO inbox. We'll get to those at the end of that. Krista is in the background gathering those into a doc for us to be able to talk through. We do appreciate you giving us those questions. A couple other, like, how does this work sort of thing. So there are expectations of work to be completed over the course of the week. So some people have asked, like, is this pass fail or is it not? It is traditional grading. It is work is completed. There are deadlines. If they aren't met, then we have consequences for those. It is very similar to that. It's in a little bit more of a flexible environment. Some assignments might be due by midnight or by the end of the week, which is traditional for more of a virtual learning experience. Teachers may be in the regular classroom, and they might be teaching their regular day and have third bell that is their advanced ELA. That doesn't necessarily mean that your child needs to be online between 9:37 and 10:42 every day. What that means is that teacher is using that time to teach in a virtual environment. What are they doing? They're checking student progress. They're responding to questions either in discussion boards or in chats. They might be grading papers at that time. They might be having, maybe there's 2 or 3 times a week that they do have something that is synchronous where they're giving a live lesson. Maybe that's recorded. Maybe they record that video of them giving a lesson. Students are able to watch that, and then they're able for office hours later on in the day to be able to answer questions about that. Our teachers will become more and more adept at that, but I don't want the impression to be that my child has to be locked in front of their computer all day long, and I might not be there to supervise that, or they might need some help or support on that. So that's not the idea that is. There might be, we will utilize Zoom for live lessons and for office hours. We'll do our best to coordinate that also. So we'll understand the life of those students, and we will do our best not to have 4 Zoom sessions all at 8:30 in the morning at the same time, because we know that's hard for families to manage. We also know that it is hard when there are multiple devices going on at the same time. We will be cognizant of that as much as possible, especially if there are siblings. Just be flexible with us as we go through this. We know that there are families who have kids who are high school, junior high school, elementary age, all the way through. Let's talk about the courses and electives that are offered. We have multiple levels of all 4 core courses that have been built out. There are separate regular and advanced level. Some parents who have accelerated students have contacted us. That's probably a separate conversation. So please email us at vlo@lakotaonline.com. We're happy to get back to you about that. Students have choices of electives in PE, health, STEAM, art, and technology. Some questions have come in via email about, so how does this process work? So we have course requests from previous students from last year, and the counselors have those. Most of those will line up. If there are any differences, they might put a placeholder in a spot for what a student might want, but then they're going to be contacting students to finalize that schedule for them. The process for that is going to look a little different at each home building. Remember, that scheduling process is going to be managed by your counselor at your home building of attendance. And then we will follow through with the organization of those courses. But if there are questions about, for instance, my 8th grader was in band, they're no longer able to take band, I need to get them into a course, that would be something that you would contact your school for. We're happy to support from a district perspective, but they're really going to know your pathway better and what that looks like, and be able to offer that advice of whether an art might be better or a technology course might be better. We also know that there is some flexibility between most of our electives are semester electives. We will work as best we can to fill the needs of that student in their fall semester. We might need to use a second semester on an individual basis if there's an 8th grade student who has taken a lot of these electives and we've got to get creative with. We will work with that family to do that. There was just, it's very difficult on this time frame to recreate an entire master schedule for all of our students. So work with your counselors to finalize those as we go through that. We've talked about technology. We've talked about what that looks like. I think your tech needs are met at the building level or through tech support and help that we'll provide from a district perspective. If we talk about our timeline, if we go advance a slide here, just so you know what to expect over the next few weeks. So next week is the week of the 10th. I know it seems like time is just flying, at least for me. You will get a Meet the Teacher video for all of your child's teachers. They will get their schedules. We're planning by Tuesday. So by the Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, you'll see the Meet the Teacher videos. Those will be loaded up through Canvas. Those will start to come through. The individual teacher contact will happen through K6, 7, 8. Will look more like a back to school event. We'll be doing a lot of teacher PD and training. And you will also be contacting your counselors a lot next week for saying, like, what do I need? What classes do I have offered? We will offer a lot of that support in the background also. So next week is a lot of just getting ready for school, getting schedules organized, a lot of the troubleshooting that goes into it before that. Week of the 17th is our staggered start. As we mentioned before, there's the Monday, Wednesday, Tuesday, Thursday organization. It's just getting oriented, understanding what this all looks like. We will offer a parent survey that comes out on Wednesday, just as would be the same for our in-person families. We want your feedback. We want you to be brutally honest with us. We want to know what we've missed on, what we still need to do. Do you feel supported and ready to go? We will take that Friday, just as our in-person colleagues are doing, and we are going to review survey results with teachers, learn from what they went through, or their technical glitches that they need to be supported on, or they're just learning opportunities they have. We'll do a little bit of professional development and training with them on what, how do we take that next step in virtual learning. And really that week of the 24th, as academics begin, we'll start to plan for a curriculum night, so you know what you get to feel what that looks like and see it from the inside. But know from a teaching and learning perspective, especially in a virtual school. We've spent a lot of time talking to people who have run virtual schools and taught in virtual schools, that orientation piece takes a little bit longer than it does in person. You might be used to, by day 2 or 3 in a regular classroom, they're headed and they're hitting academics and really running with that, seeing homework. It will take a little bit longer. This is a different learning environment. So don't be frustrated if by the middle or the end of that week of the 24th that you're not seeing big time heavy academics yet. It will take a little bit of time to get there. But everything we've heard from people is that build into the relationships with the kids so they feel supported, so they know the families, so you know what's going on there, because you don't have that day-by-day connection. You're not seeing them in the hallways as they're walking into your classroom and just catching up. It's just harder to do some of that. So we'll spend time to make sure that that's right. The other piece before we jump into some questions, in this next slide, we really do want to make this a community. We have talked a lot about our new hashtag for this upcoming year is We Can Lakota. If there's anything that we have learned over the past several months is that by coming together as a community, that we can accomplish great things, and that's what we hope to do here. We will build in parent supports just like you have. You'll see regular updates from Krista and her team, at least on every Tuesday, Friday for the first few weeks of school, just to know what's going on, to see what's happening. We'll be building community with our kids as much as possible to make that look and feel like school. I'm interested in having some parent support groups. I know that there are Facebook groups that are out there of parents who are involved with this. If we can utilize some of those great people who are out there to be conduits of information for us, that's fantastic. We'll be reaching out to individual people. If there are people who are interested in helping out with that, if you've got kids in the VLO and you want to help out and you want to put together a little bit of a group to share information out, please contact us and let us know how we can work together. We are live on Twitter. That'll be on our final slide, but we are live on Twitter as of about 6 a.m. this morning. So it's a couple slides ahead, but at Lakota Virtual is our Twitter handle. We'll be sharing information out about that. Kind of follow us if we're out there. I think we already have 50 or 60 followers, which is pretty exciting. A hashtag of Go with the VLO will be out there as we all try and navigate these waters a little bit. Some things that we're in this together. Student services people have asked about, so I'm still connected to my school counselor if there are issues I've got going on. If there's any social emotional issues that are happening, my kid feels like they're isolated or they're not making connections they still do, that counselor is still the point person for your child and still wants to be able to help. If there are any bullying concerns, if there's things that are happening, we want to know about that. That's still a great place to come. We're happy to try and support as much as we can. Those teachers will want to know that also. If your child happens to be on a 504 or get ESL services or any other services from the school, that still runs through the school, and we still have that, that's still important to us. Special services, if your child happens to be on an IEP, you'll be contacted shortly by your home building. This is a huge endeavor to offer, figure out how we offer IEP services to all of our virtual students. We know that that's important. It might take us a little bit of time to get there. Meetings will begin the week of the 17th. We'll try our best to get all those in. It might take us a few days, and we'll be flexible as we go through that. The purpose of those IEP meetings is to plan for that first semester of the school year and be reflective of that. The team will review the child's current IEP and determine to what extent it's implemented in the virtual setting. The team may determine, depending on the needs of the student, that the IEP cannot be implemented with fidelity in that kind of way, and they'll come up with a VLO plan that is unique to that. So we're poised to work in whatever capacity we need to, and know that we are all in this together. If there are questions specific to that, I would contact, you can contact us separately, or you can contact your child's IEP service provider separately also. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to jump over to our slide that we've got our friends in the background gathering questions for us. Questions that we've had come in. Will Zoom questions teach new content? Yes. So they will be recorded. So it will be new content. All of this is not similar to the spring where there might have been sort of a pause on some new content in some classes. but it will be new content that's taught. It will be recorded. If it is something that's significant, it will make sure that we have multiple opportunities to see that. If it is something that is real time that we need questions and answers for, we'll try and have that repeated on multiple days if we need to. Will teachers support student questions with help with core subjects? Absolutely. I think that the interaction that we've got between our teachers and our students will be, I think it's going to be significantly more than what you would have seen in the past. I think you'll see, there was a lot of the feedback that we got, honestly, from parents in the fall was I felt like we were a little bit on an island working with our kids, and we don't want that to be the experience this spring, or this fall, I'm sorry. So yes, they will be having a lot of those questions answered live as we go through that. Question came in, if a teacher is sick for a period of time, will we have a substitute familiar with the content? So a lot of that depends on, here's the great thing about virtual learning, actually, and I might tag Andrew into this for a second, but because the content is all built collectively, and we know that any student in the VLO in 7th grade in ELA is essentially getting the same content, might be digging into in different ways, it's much easier for us to dive back in separately. It's much easier for one teacher to come in and run a session with some other students. It's much easier for our teacher to video record a mini lesson to follow up with. It's not to say that teachers, take sick day and don't have to work, but what it's saying is that we can flex in and out a day much more easily. Just as a student would be able to, our teachers will be able to pre-record things, plan for something like that. It's much easier for them to be able to facilitate. So, and Andrew, if you're in there and you want to jump in on that, please let me know. I'll just keep going for now, though. How do we find parent groups for VLO? That's a great question. I'm going to need some help with that, to be honest. I think we're going to probably reach out. So look in that bulletin from Krista. We will probably have some place where it is that, hey, you're interested in helping out for this. And then we'll probably run those through a Facebook group or something like that. I will keep asking, and we didn't get a chance to get into this earlier, we're all asking for grace right now, and I know that sometimes social media can be a hotbed for some caustic opinions about things. That's not what we're looking for. Is people to kind of bring people together. We'll get information out to families about how to connect with other families who are doing this, and we've heard from families who said, I'd like to be able to gather, whether it's a social outing or things to do outside of the home that are educational, things like that, which would be fantastic. Andrew, I see you popped on here. Do you want to talk a little bit about virtual learning and how we help all of our kids out?
I think you did a great job before. Yeah, I mean, if you just want to specifically to helping our kids out, I mean, that's exactly how this whole thing is designed, is how do we provide those systems that provide that consistent progress monitoring for students. Students know where they're at in their learning, teachers know where they're at in their learning, and teachers can easily provide the targeted support when kids need those. And that's really what the design is all about, and what we'll be working with our teachers on to make sure we deliver on that really high quality experience.
And I do think you'll see a lot more collaboration between our teachers also who are teaching common content. They'll work together as a team, a VLO team across schools. We always want that to happen, but it's hard to do in a traditional environment. So see a lot of that also that helps support our kids. If a student is registered for chorus, will they get to pick a new elective? Yes, they will. It might look like a counselor choosing something and checking with a student. But if you have a question that is like, hey, I only see 5 of my child's courses that they know they wanted to take, and we need to know what our other one is, please contact your counselor at that point in time and say, here are the options. I see those on the course listing. Just a reminder, our course listing, our current course listing is on our website. So if you go to the website that's listed on the final slide, you'll see the course listing that's on there. All the junior high courses are at the bottom, and that'll give you a good idea of what that looks like. There's a question here about plan for gifted support. So we do have advanced courses in all of our core courses. We do have gifted intervention specialists, and we do have our gifted advisor who is still working with all of our VLO students. We will have to put a bit of a group together. I don't know if that's going to look like a course in Canvas, or if that's going to look like some other kind of group. But we've had conversations with our gifted team about how to support our gifted identified students who are in the VLO. So that's been something we've been preparing for. Question about elective scheduling, counselors supporting students with scheduling. So yeah, we've got that. We have a hand raised, and to be perfectly honest, I've never done a raising of a hand in a Zoom webinar. So give me just a second.
Out. So here we go. Regina, if you'd like to ask.
You can unmute them. I think you have to do that, Krista.
Yep, coming up.
Give us some patience here. I think are you good, Krista?
Yeah, I'm not sure if she's there. There she goes.
There we go. Regina, are you there?
I'm here. Can you hear me?
I can. So we've never
Sorry
done this.
about that.
No, jump right in.
I put this in the questions that I have for you guys. My computer's giving me a little problem, so if you can't hear me, let me know.
You're good.
We're new to the district, or not new. We've opted to go. We were in private school and looking at the virtual option, and even before all this happened, we were looking at coming back to the district. We don't have any experience with Canvas at all, or the learning system. Would there be any opportunity or possibility of having like a session or anything like that?
Yeah, Regina, that's a great question. And Krista is all over that. She knows training for Canvas like the back of her hand. I'll let her jump in on that one.
Yeah. Yes. So yes, you will have training. There will be information provided both. We will do a Zoom call, and we will also have resources available for you through the bulletins. And I'm working on a platform that you can log in and check, or go to and check to find all the information. We will show you how to access Canvas as a parent. We'll show you how to use the app for Canvas. We also will make sure that your student is able to get into Canvas and get everything going ahead of time. We have a team. Part of my role is to lead a team called Team Inspire. They're innovation specialists, and their role is to support students and teachers with the technology, and this has been a huge part of it. When you think about even moving beyond Canvas and some of the tools that are integrated into the curriculum, we will also have, we have a whole slew, we've been working all summer on them, of videos that will help students in real time. They can basically, or on demand, I should say. They basically, if they're asked to use WeVideo for something, there will be a video or some support right there in Canvas for them with the assignment that lets them at that time, if they can't remember what to do or aren't sure, they can click it and go right in and have the directions right there. So I think you will feel more than supported with Canvas. We already have some Canvas support items on our website. If you go to lakotaonline.com, in the technology, or if you just click the parent and then you click Canvas, there are some videos there, but we will also have a whole separate space for supporting the VLO parents. So absolutely.
Great. And I see a couple other raised hands, and if we're good to do this, I guess that's fine. And so, Chris, are you okay to manage some of those raised hands?
Yes, I am doing
and
that.
All I would ask is that we go through this, if you have specific questions that are maybe specific to your child or their schedule, if you can follow up with us separately, that'd be great. If you feel like you've got something that would be of benefit to everybody, please go ahead and bring it up.
Okay, we should be ready to talk.
So is Mr. Merchant?
Yep. Can you hear me?
I can. I recognize your name. Good to see
Perfect.
you.
Yeah. So I think the only question I had was, and I know you kind of touched on it, was the fact that you're going to use more local resources to administer the courses in the 7th and 8th grade versus in the high school side, you're going to more use Apex. Is that kind of how I'm understanding it correctly based on what you've been communicating in this meeting so far?
Sure. So that's a great question. The Apex courses are for most of our high school, many of our AP classes in our high school, and a couple of single classes in the high school. All of our core content area classes in the high school and our core content in the junior high as well as all of our K-6, is all our curriculum. I wouldn't say locally developed. It's been our curriculum for a long time. It has been in various stages of being virtualized, but that is all our core content curriculum, correct?
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. Other questions, Krista? That David Dixon?
Yeah, I was curious. You said one of the electives being offered is PE. What is PE going to look like on VLO?
I'm going to let Mr. Wheatley handle that because he actually has firsthand experience with that.
Yeah, so I have 3 kids in the district, and I have a junior higher in the district. And this summer, the summer school courses went from being, in-person summer school to the state mandating that they have to be done remotely. And my son had signed up for summer PE, and I was a little hesitant. Wasn't exactly sure as a parent, what did summer PE look like? But I did know who was developing the course, and I had a lot of faith in them. And so my son took that course, and I will say this, that my son has never exercised so much in his life before. They did a really amazing job of what they did is essentially students created an individualized PE plan that needed to be approved by the teacher with check-ins and video sessions in which, checking for all the standards that are in PE. And I actually feel like, my son got a really, really, really high quality PE experience with a lot of physical activity through a virtual environment.
Okay, thank you. That's kind of what I was wondering.
Great, thank you.
Yeah, a lot of kettlebell swings were happening.
We've got Jacob.
Yes, please. My
Yes.
name is Jacob Alonge. My question is, if the pandemic subsides, how easy will it be for students to be reintegrated back into their school? And should they have to wait until the end of the semester or the end of the school year?
Great question. And that's a lot of why we have gone with developing our own content also. So we want this to be as seamless as possible for students who want to move back into the in-person learning at some point in time. So the curriculum is paced at the same place. The expectations are very similar. They should be able to move fairly seamlessly back into Lakota schools when that happens. We've asked for at least a semester commitment to this for planning purposes for us. We're prepared for a full year of instruction, but we know that that's the minimum expectation that we have for people. So that would be in the January timeframe to be able to move back in. If that happens, there might be a lag in time just to reorient a schedule and get them back into classes. It might be a day or two, but that's really the expectation.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And just recognizing time, we have about 5 minutes. I'm happy to stay on. We'll look to end at 4, but if we want to have a few more questions, I'm fine with that also. Heather Sheldon.
Hi, yeah, so this is actually, thank you. It's probably just a follow-on to the question that was asked. I had a similar question, but
Okay.
I guess just to take it a little deeper. So what is the collaboration, I guess, between the VLO teachers and the building teachers in terms of curriculum so that transition can be seamless for those kids?
Yeah, that's a great follow-up too. So I think it looks 2 different ways. So if there are some of our teachers who are teaching VLO classes are actually in the building teaching in person other students also. So that collaboration is going to be really tight. Like they're going to know exactly what they're doing with their 3rd bell class that's in person and their 4th bell class. And we have developed our curriculum aligned with our standards and aligned with what they're teaching anyway. It's been our teachers who help develop it. So I imagine that's going to be very seamless there. And so I think they're going to have a pretty strong connection to the teachers who are in the classroom who are doing that work anyway. I think that's our job too. So the reason that Krista's here, the reason that I'm here is to really make sure that we are, every time that we have a professional development day, we pull all of our teachers together and say, where are we? Are we on the right spot? We have 3 professional development days throughout the fall where we will be able to do that pretty extensively with our teachers. So it's a great question. If you don't see that, or if you hear rumors of that, let us know so that we can be proactive and deal with that.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Mr. Longe, did you have a follow-up? We pulled your name back up, but if there's another question.
No, I forgot to lower my hand, so I just I just got it done.
Yeah, so we will not give you attention. We won't give you attention in virtual school on day 1. We'll let you apologize for keeping your hand raised. Is there anybody else with hands raised or anything? Any other questions coming in? Okay. I don't see any others. And so here's what we'll do. We're going to wrap up. If we want to put that final screen up, we've got our contact information. Oh, we've got Laura Wallace has a question up.
I'm sorry, I accidentally hit the button. I didn't mean to, so I apologize.
All right. We're all learning together. It's all fine. So as we're closing up our final information here, please reach out to us. We have our whole team that we've built to be responsive to you. Hopefully you're feeling that. The VLO at lakotaonline.com. It's a lot of activity. We have people answering questions all the time. We're trying to process information. We're trying to do that in as responsible a fashion as possible. We have our link on our website. We have our social media outreach. If you have questions at all, please let us know. We know that it is a lot. We know that you're putting a lot of trust in us, a lot of faith in us as we go through this. We don't take that lightly. And our mission is to deliver a great quality education for all of our students, whether they're in person or at home. Look for more information from us. Krista, thank you for manning everything in the back and grabbing all the information. She's been a trooper. She's been, so Krista's been on board for about a week in this role on top of her other job, like we all have been. And we're thankful to her and her whole team putting this all together. If we can be of any support to anybody here, you let us know. Look for more information, and we appreciate you taking time this afternoon. Appreciate all your support of your kids this fall.
Definitely. And if somehow a question got missed, I will make sure that we respond to that in the email if any came in that while we were doing the raised hands. So thank you for your patience. Zoom webinar training was last night, so I guess we improvise and it works. That's what we do, right? So it was awesome. But we hope it was helpful, and I really look forward to a great year in the VLO. So thanks for joining.
Thank you. Have a great evening.